Hello, hello, hello. I am so glad that you are watching this video today. The message that I want to share with you today is extraordinarily important. One of the most scary things that is happening right now and has happened, an individual who I knew his mother wrote an article to our local Jewish paper, and he said it's unbelievable to see, it's actually sickening to see Jews who, instead of understanding that Jews are being wantonly attacked as the Nazis tried to attack the Jews, the Arabs have tried to kill us in three, actually maybe five wars, their job, I shouldn't say their job, their desire is, God forbid, to annihilate every Jew in the entire world. No different to the Nazis. In fact, many of the ideas of the Nazis actually came from the Arabs. And yet, there are stupid Jews who are supporting free Palestine as if there was ever a state of Palestine before the state of Israel. It was under the British, and before it was under the British, it was under the Ottoman Turks for 500 years. It was never a state of Palestine. In fact, it was Judea and Samaria for thousands of years. So the bottom line is that where does such stupidity come from? And it's not only I'm speaking as a Jew about Jews. Take the Germans. The Germans lived, there was a 50% intermarriage rate. It was exactly like it was in America. And what exactly happened? Think very carefully. One idiot, one moron was able to convince them, no, these are your enemies, go kill them. A nation, they were just as German. In fact, those German Jews weren't even religious. A nation that officially they created a scientific idea that they're a super race. Ridiculous crap. As Hitler said, lucky for leaders that people don't think. But I want you to think about this. How did the average German, who was officially a liberal, we believe in everyone, there was a 50% intermarriage rate, become a mass murderer of Jews? It doesn't make any logical sense. And that's why you have to understand how people follow cults. It's very important to understand Pew poll. It's a nonpartisan poll. I think her name is Rebecca Kimmel, former CEO of Pew for a long time. She wrote to me. I once corresponded with her. She said that Mr. Pew said, tell the truth and trust the people. And they do a very good job at that. Now, they have a subdivision in America. People vote Republican or Democrat. But there are four kinds of Republicans. They're very different. There are four kinds of Democrats. They're very different. 10% of America doesn't vote at all. But, and here's the important but, there is 6% of the Republican Party that you can call them consistently conservative. You want to say maybe they're Trump cult members. But the Democratic Party, 27%. That's 27% of America, making up 45% of the Democratic Party. And the active members, they are consistently liberal. You can definitely define them as Obama cult members. Whatever he thought, whatever idiocy he said, give Iran weapons of anything, that's it they believe. Exactly like the Germans believed Hitler. And this is very important to understand, because this means that the masses of people who do not have experience, and this, we have to be fair about this, the average Republican, the average conservative is not really Republican. They're just using the Republican Party because they have conservative values. They have values which are more aligned by the Republican Party. And therefore, that's 27% of America, 45% of the Republican Party, and they are independent thinkers. As we look at the polls, most Americans are not, if you want to call it, they're basically moderates. There's a large slice which is conservatives, and a smaller slice is liberals. And yet, it's very dangerous, because why did the people fall for Hitler? Why did many Jews fall for Obama? They're very similar, charismatic people. They had nothing in actual content. They had no real substance. They had no real ideas. You look at Obama, there's not a single idea that he promoted that created a better society. Not one. In fact, because of him, the world has gone into chaos, a lot more hate, a lot more division. I'm not going to go into all the details. You have to be actually kind of burying your head in the sand not to see how much casualty and chaos came from this sick individual. So the answer to this all boils down to one statement, a single statement. And it's a very deep psychological point. And that is, if you know the difference between lovers of love and haters of hate, what is the difference between someone who loves love and hates hate? The difference is that the lover of love finds love. His quest, because we're all driven by emotions. Everything you see is an emotional desire. Let's say you have somebody who is, let's say they're normal kind of male. So they see women and they say, oh, she's an attractive woman. Another guy, let's say they call themselves queer, he's gay. He's just not interested. I remember sitting on a plane, there was a guy who was gay, very quite openly, and there was a girl next to him. They say a gay guy can be a girl's best friend because they have no kind of sexual interest. It was very funny to me to see. She was like trying to coy up to him to be a girl. He had no interest in femininity. So why does one person see what they see? Let's say I'm an architect and I go out, I see buildings, very interesting designs. I'm not an architect, so I don't see it. I'm a Jew. What do I see? I'm a rabbi, I'm a Chabad. I see a Jew. I think, okay, how can I bring this guy closer to Judaism? Or how can I bring the Gentile the 7 Noahide laws? That's how my brain thinks. So the point is that where you desire is where your brain thinks. Now, I don't want to take too much time. I've already lost half my crowd. The bottom line is that if your fundamental belief about reality, about humanity, and this is very critical to understand, if your fundamental belief about people is positive, so you have a love for people, you are a lover of love. So your quest in life is, how do we make it better? The Hebrew word for ahava, love, has in it the word hav, to give. But what happens in the exact opposite? What happens if you feel fear of people? And it's very, very common because it's actually very rare to feel love for people. I'm living right now in Kansas City. It's Overland Park. It's actually rated the best city in America. It's very easy to love people here. In fact, Rashi says that when the economy is good, people are attracted to one another. Why? Because everybody's got their nice house. They go outside. They're friendly. They're nice. Why shouldn't you like people? But you go a couple blocks down, right over the state, and it's a more inner city, and its people are a little rougher, they're a little tougher. It's very easy not to like people. Why? Because you see the negativity, you see the anger, maybe you see the hate, so you have to become defensive. I've lived in different societies. Certain societies I was defensive. In fact, I remember I was drive from Kansas City to New York, and because I've been a little bit in a time of my life defensive, I can get there if I need to. Now, as I would drive into New York and everybody's driving and they're cutting each other off, I was like, nobody's going to cut me off. And then I said to myself, what am I, stupid? What am I, fighting these stupid New Yorkers with my driving? And again, I'm not blaming them. It's just the reality that if the people just start to copy people, I said, you go first. And now I don't mind driving in New York. Before it was stressful, but for me it's not stressful now because I let the other guy go first, be my guest. I'll take it 5 minutes slower, and I'll get to my destination in a happy way. But we should not think that somehow I'm a Superman or somehow if we have it good, we're better. We're not better. The circumstance, how long would it take me to turn you into a boxer, into a fighter, and God forbid even into a murderer? Not long. If I took you and put you in a boxing ring and you didn't have a choice, you had to box, otherwise you'd be boxed, in 1 minute you'd become a boxer. And as soon as the person switches into the fight or flight, and that fight mechanism, it's to the death. And sinah, the word sinah has in it the word na, which comes from the word un, which is to annihilate. In other words, we are not very sophisticated people. We're very, very simple. There's an entire theory. Many Nobel Prizes have been won on this, called game theory. This was done by von Neumann, who was a genius. He invented the computer. He invented algorithms. Very, very smart guy. He invented game theory. And effectively, that's what game theory says. People either love each other or they want to kill each other. And this is because psychologically we're either, and this is the main reason I'm giving this video, and if you listen to this, you will be able to discern between good and evil, good leaders and evil leaders. And that is positive or negative. The people, and this was why Oprah really destroyed the world, because Oprah herself is a positive person. She's a nice person. She's a beautiful woman. But there's this kind of black crap, which is, oh, if you're black, therefore you represent us. No, why? Suddenly, that's the ultimate of racism. If you're white, you represent the white people. That's a racist comment. Every individual stands on his own. Is a person filled with love, or are they filled with hate? And Oprah, using her tremendous credibility, did the world a tremendous disservice by bringing Obama. She brought Obama. She gave him the credibility. That was where he first announced his running to the world. And the reason she made a mistake, and she makes this mistake all the time, is that just because you're black doesn't mean you're into love. The idea of seeing the world in a positive way versus a negative way has nothing to do whether you're black or white. It has to do with your circumstances, usually how you've been brought up. Obama, for example, was brought up in a third world country, and I've lived in a third world country. People are very harsh. Everything becomes, as in game theory, zero-sum game, me against you. Everybody's trying to win that war. They don't really have a choice. If you're from Russia, I remember I did a Passover Seder, and this is for Jews from Russia in a certain building, and over there was a non-Jew, and we invited him in, and it was so amazing to see this guy, tough guy, tough, a lot of Russians, very tough, but just by the Jewish people being nice to him, right? Not condescending, but just treating him like a human being with respect. Here, treating them, his whole demeanor changed. People go from white. White shows that you're actually afraid, into a state of kind of redness, a state of the blood comes basically back to the face. You can see it in front of your face. Now, can you blame the guy for being tough? No, because if you were in his environment, everybody's tough towards you. You don't have a choice. You're going to be tough. So I want to sum this up, that if you understand this one point, you can discern between good and evil, and even within yourself, if you are in a positive or negative state. Are you in a state? And this is a simple technique to do this. This is actually from a book. It's called The Israel Test. It was written by George Gilder, a famous economist. And he says the reason there's anti-Semitism, which he's absolutely correct, is there's jealousy. If you pass or fail this test, you know if you are in a positive or negative state. And you are the one that has to basically change your perspective. And I'm going to put a link to my book, Kabbalah Love. It's helped a lot of people. It's all about changing your perspective from negative to positive. And it goes like this. Somebody is wealthy. What do you want to do to him? Now, I actually once in my life, I'm highly embarrassed to say this, but I failed the Israel test. It was a time in my life I was going through a lot of difficulty. I was in a negative space, and I thought, somebody's wealthy, I want to tear him down. Now I'm in a positive space, thank God. And again, a lot of it's not because I'm such a great guy. The circumstances that I'm in are much better. And therefore, if somebody's wealthy, I'm like, wonderful, I'm so happy for him. And that's the key. When I'm in a positive state, when I'm not feeling anxious, negative, so I look at the other in a positive light. Listen very carefully to me. Do not be a Nazi. Do not fall for the evil people like Obama that basically they boil down to negativity. Did Obama have a positive perspective of the world? He had a negative perspective of the world. I'm not going to go into Obama. It's not about him. The only reason I'm speaking about him is because he has influenced 27% of our country. And people have to wake up. And if you're a Jew, for crying out loud, they've tried to kill you. They still want to kill you. And you're helping your enemy. There were even crazy Jews who voted for Hitler because that's how stupid they were. They didn't realize if a guy is negative, he wants to murder. And Hitler wasn't even for Germany. There was a guy, I became a Facebook friend of his. He went through the Holocaust. He became very good in languages. He became basically an interrogator for the Secret Service of America. And he was told by a top general, Hitler ordered the destruction of the food factories of Germany. Hitler hated the Germans, maybe not as much, but equal to the fact that he hated the Jews. Because these people, they hate all people. In their emotional psychology, they are jealous of life itself. They want to destroy life. And therefore, you got to wake up and you got to be with the people that care. These leftists are against the right. The right are the people that are going to give their lives. They're going to go to the army. They're going to serve. They're going to protect. And what are the left doing? They're welcoming the people that want to kill them. Wake up. Get with the program. read my book, be positive, and the last thing you need to do is you have to have faith in God, because the real reason the average German or the average Jew in America that's not schooled in Judaism falls for these demigods is because they don't have, if they say, if you don't stand for something, you fall for everything. Read the book. We have an amazing truth. In fact, this is the truth itself. Why God made you, why He made the world, to increase goodness and kindness, to increase love, but you have to be able to have a positive perspective, and positivity takes effort. And last but not least, you owe it to the world to be a positive person and not, for crying out loud, not following the latest negative demagogue who subconsciously wants nothing but the annihilation and the destruction and the mayhem, which is what they do, which what Obama clearly achieved. And you don't want to be part of his evil. You want to be part of God, of the construction of a world of love, peace, harmony. Yes, law and order, because it takes law and order to have safety. And together we will very soon see the complete and total redemption with the Messianic era soon to be revealed. Thank you. L'chaim v'levracha.